Hello everyone. Today we will going to talk about the Sveshnikov variation in the Sicilian defense that comes after e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, takes, and here black plays knight f6. So there is also a variation that is called Kalashnikov. I did a video about that. I will put the link on the description. Now I will tell you the difference from that variation, and so you can decide if this fits more for you or less. So here white plays knight c3. Let's check briefly knight takes c6. This is not a problem. We will going to take with a b pawn, and then we will play for the push on e5. So let's say knight c3. We will push on e5, and we will try to push the pawn on d5, and well, we will be for sure able to do that. Here we can let's say after bishop c4 we can pin the knight, and if queen f3 is completely fine, we will castle, and even after bishop g5 to pin the knight is seriously not a problem if this trade happens. Just remember to trade with the queen, because otherwise white queen will be super active, and our queen not so much, so we want to trade the queens. But this structure, also, even if is ruined, it can lead to a lot of counterplay. So let's say even long castle, we will go for the f5 push, and after we push on f5, if he takes, we will have a huge control of the center, so this is not a problem. But let's go back a couple of moves. So yeah, so knight takes c6 is not a problem. Don't be scared about that. Another thing that can happen is knight c3. So the difference from the Kalashnikov variation is that in this position we didn't develop the knight, and instead of playing knight f6, we played e5. So after knight b5, we have to play d6. Not we have to play, but it is preferable to do it. And here white has two choices that are knight c3 or c4. So the difference is this, that here on knight f6, white doesn't have anymore the white doesn't have to play on b5, but he doesn't have anymore the c4 push. So this is one of the difference, but this is a pro, because we are able to predict better what white will play. That is 90% of the time at knight c3. But the counterpart is that after e5 and knight on b5, I will do also the other variation, like knight f5, knight f3, and knight b3. After knight b5, we have d6, and here the counterpart is that white has bishop g5. Instead, in the Kalashnikov variation, black knight is on the knight on f6 is on e7. Well, we didn't develop the knight already, but yeah, the difference is this, that even with this order of moves after d6, there is also knight d5. And here we would like to play this knight on e7, and bishop g5 is not a threat. So yeah, the main difference is that then well, if you want, you can check also the other video and then decide what is best for you. But let's go in on this variation. Here we can take and play knight e7. And here, well, here there is a c4 to protect the pawn, and we can remaneuver the knight via f4. We have a comfortable game. Let's say white plays bishop d3. Sorry, we can play g6, and after castle, we have to play a6, because we would like to play bishop g7, but the problem with bishop g7 is that the queen a4 is a really strong move, because it's made. Oh, well, yeah, for a discover attack, but as a double purpose, because let's say queen a4, and we castle, the queen will go on a3, and now white is threatened to take the knight and to win the pawn, and then we will lose for sure because these two pawns are too strong. So instead that bishop g7, here we have to play a6, a necessary move to kick away the knight. And the knight goes on c3, and then we play bishop g7, and let's say rook e1, we can castle. I saw on the database that a lot of players here is the most played move is f4, and is an inaccuracy because with f4 this diagonal will be open. So after castle, even if it trades, we can take back with the bishop. And here I saw the most common move is bishop f4, and this is a mistake because we can play queen b6 not to target the b2 pawn, but to place the knight on e3. So he will have, and this is a fork, so he will have to give us his dark square bishop, and well, here is an open board, and the bishop pair will do their job for sure. We are super better. So the ideas here are these. And the differences from the previous variation, from the Kalashnikov variation. So now we can check another line. Let's go. Let's say that in this position, white plays bishop g5. On bishop g5, we will first kick away the knight, because now the problem is that white is threatening to take the d6 pawn. So we will kick away the knight, that will go on a3. And here, here the knight is out of the game. Really similar ideas of the Kalashnikov. Here we will play b5, and after knight d5, we will simply place the bishop on e7. Here there are two things that can happen. We are threatening, well, now we are threatening to take the knight, and then we will cover also the bishop, and the bishop is threatened g5. So here, if knight takes on e7, we will take back with the knight, because we will have we will control the d5 square, and this trade is nothing special, because we have a lot of counterplay with f5. So let's say c4. With c4, we will push f5, and we will sacrifice these pawns like in Bacon style. If he trades, is better for us, because we will simply trade, and even if we lose this pawn, we can castle, but we can even give a check, and after queen d2, we will trade the queens, and this pawn, the a6 pawn, I mean, we will regain that pawn, and the e4 pawn is more important for sure than the a6 pawn. So here is not a problem. And let's see if instead white takes on white takes on f6. So on here, white can also take on f6. And here we have to be really careful, because we don't want to trade at this point with the pawn, because then the dark square bishop will be stuck. So we will take with the bishop, and if white takes, we will take back with the queen, because here the pieces are gone. So even this is fine, but there's no reason now to go for this. In the previous variation, we had more pieces on the board, and we could counterattack better, but not in this one. So here we will simply take with the queen, and we are fine. We are even better. And instead, let's say now that let's check other variations. Okay, in this position is also helpful to know what happened if knight f3, knight f5, or knight b3. So let's check them. If knight f5, we will strike in the center with d5, and if white takes, we will take the bishop, and after pawn takes knight, we will trade the queens. here knight takes, take back on c6, and even if our structure is not one of the best, we are developed, and the queens are not anymore on the board, so it's fine. We are not under huge attack. Let's say that here white will play, I don't know, knight e3. We will, well, we will save the bishop, open board. We want the bishop pair, and after bishop a6, that is threatening bishop b7. We can even play rook b1, because on bishop b7 we have king d7, and then we will bring our king on c7. So this is a loss of a tempo. And now let's say that white doesn't take on. Doesn't go on f5. Let's check knight c3. So f3, sorry. So on knight f3, we will play bishop b4, because we want to pin the knight and try to go for the d5 push. And if white tries to pin our knight, we can even play h6, and after bishop h4, push on g5, because we didn't commit to the castling yet. So after bishop g6, g3, we can also take the pawn on e4, and we are fine. And let's say that if this happens, let's say queen d3, we can play d5, but I think that even take here is not the end of the world. But for sure d5 is better, is our purpose to push d5 on the Sicilian. And instead, if white tries to go for this, we can take, and this is not a problem, because after queen e7 we are threatening the knight. We will take this knight with a discover check, and we will win the queen. So the last one, not bishop, not knight f3, but knight c3. Let's check it. Okay, on knight b3, we will go bishop b4, same, because we want to push d5, and after bishop d3, let's say to protect the e4 pawn that we were threatening, we will still play d5, because after take, we can take with the knight, and after after bishop d2, we can take with the knight, and here we will play for the endgame. We will have a lot of game on the c-file, and we are fine. The pieces are equal, and after bishop d6 and let's say castle and castle, we are fine. Yeah, we can go for f4, plans like f4, f5, f5, f4, sorry, bishop e6. Life is good here. So these were all the lines that I wanted to show you, are the most popular ones. If you are interested, check also the video of the Kalashnikov. Again, I will put the link on description, because I think when I study the openings, I think is really helpful to check why this opening is made, and also the small differences that occurs with an opening or with another one, the moves that are possible in a variation, the moves that are not possible anymore if we play something else, and what is the counterpart that in this way was in this opening was that we can we take away from white the possibility to play c4, but we will give him the chance to play bishop g5 and to ruin our structure. So let's check the other video, because if c4 is not a problem for you, maybe it's the case that instead of knight f6, you will go for the Kalashnikov with knight e7, and very dynamical game, very for sure a game with 3 results. And nothing for today is everything. If you are interested in seeing more videos, feel free to leave a like and also to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.